Greetings and welcome to the Low Country Report. The monthly meeting of the First Monday Republican Club brought all three candidates for state representative representing District 123, that's Hilton Head Island. We have highlights of each of their statements, followed by their rebuttal period, and a question from the audience. We even got a moment to interview each one separately. We'll bring it all to you along with an interview with Sister Maria Christie, who hosted a group of teens at the March for Life in Washington. Now let's take you to Enchiladas Restaurant and the First Monday Republican Club. Our first speaker, drawn at random, was Andy Patrick.
What do I think are the most important issues? Well, for one, smaller government. I think that government spending is out of control, due largely in part to the failure of the legislature here in South Carolina. Certainly we're all focused on national politics, and rightfully so, but some of the same things that we're concerned about on a national stage are happening and are parallel to what's going on in South Carolina. And so we need to be equally as focused on what's going on here. So smaller government, tax reform, comprehensive tax reform, not a Band-Aid approach to solving the complex issues regarding our tax code. And it is complex. I've been told that there might be about 20 people that really understand the tax code in South Carolina. I'm certainly not one of those 20.
Not even that many.
Okay, Tom says not that many. So, as it will come as no surprise to many of you, I'm concerned about public safety. I think that we need to give good, practical tools to those that are out there enforcing the law and those that are prosecuting those that break the law. So I'm going to work hard to make sure that we take a look at our criminal code and make sure that it's in balance with what we want to see today and how we want to effectively enforce the law and prosecute those that break the law.
Also running for state representative is challenger Kate Keep.
What we really need in Columbia is a first-class manure detector. Frank just said he could smell that coming. I grew up on a farm, my mom and dad and us 7 kids, and I know the smell of fertilizer. Or I should be more like my mother with her ladylike description. She always called it fertilizer. What we need in Columbia is a first-rate fertilizer detector. I want to be your watchdog in Columbia. I want to be in a position there to blow the whistle when they start shoveling around the fertilizer. And I need you to work with me. It's not enough to elect me, send me to Columbia, say I voted and I've done my job. This is a job we all have to share. We all need to be whistleblowers. I can't change the world, and I don't know all the answers, but with your help, when the fertilizer starts to flow, I think we can all start to blow a whistle. We can share our whistleblowing with our friends and family around the state of South Carolina, and I think that together we can make a true difference in our state. It's our lives, it's our money, and our state that are being fouled up. With your help, I'm going to give this my best shot, and we're going to make a real difference in Columbia.
Incumbent Richard Chalk was the third candidate to give his opening statement.
One other thing that I would want to touch on is I've had some criticism from some folks saying, well, you haven't been willing to stand up for the restructuring and the constitutional changes and some of these other things that the governor has been pushing for that we wanted to see happen. Well, actually, I've got a sheet that I've done up, if you want to pick it up, beginning back in 2005, where I was a sponsor of bills to create a Department of Administration and to allow for the governor and lieutenant governor to run on a team ticket and to allow the people to vote on whether to elect, have the governor appoint council of state officers instead of them being elected by the general public the way they are now. And every year there are actions that I've taken on those things, including this year. We just had a vote in the House this past week on making the Secretary of State part of the cabinet. It failed by 1 vote. We had 82 votes for it. It has to have 83 because it's got to have a 2/3 vote since it's a constitutional change. But I have been there and I've been standing up and I've been fighting for the things that I think that the folks in this district have elected me to do. I think that if you look at it by what I've been doing, I have been an effective legislator. The system's not always an effective system for us to be able to work in. You're one of 124 people. But I've been working with the folks that have had an interest in trying to reform our government to make it more effective and more efficient. I've been I've got several things I've put on here where we actually have reduced taxes during the time that I've been there, and I've continued to work on those things.
Each candidate had 5 minutes to give a rebuttal to some of the issues raised in the opening statements. We'll give you some of those highlights. First, Andy Patrick.
While we're talking about accountability and transparency, we should have a better idea of how our legislators vote. Right now, we don't know. It's not on the record as much as it should be. And I would submit to you a report card at the end of each week of how I voted during the legislative session on certain initiatives that came before the legislature. Until we can get full transparency and know how all our legislators are voting on each particular issue, I think that that's important. And that's something that I will work towards. Restructuring government. Richard talked about this, extremely important idea. We need to change the structure of our South Carolina government. Tom has given me the timeout, so I guess I'll be stepping away from the microphone here in a second, but I just want to say we need to give more power, more authority to our governor and take some of that away from the legislature. There's a great imbalance in South Carolina, and we need to make some serious changes. Thank you.
Kate Keep was the second candidate to offer her rebuttal.
I don't think a lot of you realize what a train wreck our Employment Security Commission is. And I lay it to the feet of every person who is in the legislature today. Since 2001, they knew that their reserves were inadequate. Since 2001. And all they've done is get worse. Did you know that $171 million has been paid out by the Employment Security Commission to people who were fired for cause from their jobs? $171 million in 3 years. The ESC has quit bringing charges against people that they know are fraudulently collecting Employment Security Commissions. The legislature has maintained control of this commission. I'll tell you what, if I were in that legislature right now, I would be terrified what else is lurking in all the other commissions that they've kept under their control.
Richard Chalk defended his record in his rebuttal period.
Criticism of being on the 3M committee, that's sort of the height of arrogance. The 3M committee handles medical issues, all medical licensing issues in the state. When the state legislature was taken over by the Republicans, the legislative leadership decided to allow the minority party to continue to have control of that one committee. But it's a very important committee, and the folks who are concerned about medical issues have praised me for staying on that committee by choice, not because I didn't have the opportunity to go to other committees. I have been given the opportunity even this year to move to another committee when an opening came up. But I have told the Speaker, until you can put me on the Ways and Means Committee, leave me on the 3M committee because those issues are too important. We only serve on one committee. And I think having the institutional knowledge of somebody that's willing to take the time to read the bills, to talk with folks and understand the legislation really is important. And the folks who come before that committee and the agency folks have told me how much they appreciate the fact that I've stayed there.
After these messages, we'll be back with the audience questions. Stay with us.